Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all you nature enthusiasts out there, welcome back to Buzzing World, the podcast that takes you deep into the wild wonders of the insect world. I'm your host, Woody Fleisen.
So the most important part of the video is the first 15 seconds.
And I like wasting that 15 seconds every time.
Clearly, I might actually speed that up. That's what it's going to sound like. All right. Anyways, hi. Welcome to Full Mana Journalist Podcast. It is the week of 5/26, and I am your host, Lofter.
Keldon here on the other side of the camera.
Also a host. I don't know why I didn't include him.
I always feel left out. It's okay.
So, Jamie, you just watched your very first fighting game grand finals. What did you think of that?
It was very exciting. A lot of fun. A lot of screaming. Hence the cicada opening there.
Who was screaming? It's crazy talk.
That was you.
So
you were screaming so loud, like it started like cutting your mic out.
So okay,
it's like noise suppression.
So if you're not in the know, this weekend was a Combo Breaker tournament. It's a tournament up in Chicago, Illinois. Pretty big fighting game tournament. It's a huge celebration of all fighting games. And this was the first week of the big Street Fighter 6 balance patch. And my character Lily, who was the literal worst character in the game last season, just took the whole tournament. But what makes that even better is that in the grand final, she was fighting against this kid named Noah the Prodigy, who's been playing fighting games since he was 8, like in majors. Like I used to watch this kid play Marvel 3, and now he's 21. So I'm acutely aware of my age, but also it was so hype watching Noah in the grand finals of a tournament for the first time that I'm aware of, and also my character taking the whole thing.
And of course, we redubbed him Noah the Noah because, he's not really a prodigy anymore.
No, he's not a prodigy anymore. You can't be a prodigy if you're 21.
You can drink alcohol now.
He can. I drank alcohol today.
I did not. I would die since I was mowing grass.
Yeah, you'd be double dehydrated. Okay, so video game news, because I'm sure we've lost like 20% of the people who are actually clicked on the video.
I did my job.
So, we got a bunch of stories. None of them are like, well, okay, they are actually. There's some pretty big things in here. But first off, what are we doing, Jamie? Waffle House coming to Tekken?
So there's I'll let you include the link to the Instagram story that I found with this.
Oh,
but
actually, speaking of which, let me pause you real quick. I always put the links to all of our stories in the description. So if you want to go follow up and read what we're seeing, go down there. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so the I don't know the complete demographic of who watches your videos, but at least here in the Deep
South. Anyways, go on.
That's all. I already renamed this to the Buzzing Around podcast. Anyway, so in the Deep South, Waffle House, you can trip over them. They're like every 5 feet, especially where we live. And so a common thing, especially in the Atlanta area, is to always hear stories or watch videos about people fighting either inside or outside of Waffle House. And so there is a small but very vocal group of people on Twitter/X and Instagram and some other forms of social media that have been pinging Namco and Tekken in particular and asking for a Waffle House level to be included in Tekken. And I am all for this. And here's the best part. So the main guy who's behind it, Katsuro Harada, I believe is his name, he actually responded and wants to find out more information. He's like, what is this Waffle House? How do I get in touch with them so I can have a conversation about this? So he's legitimately looking into it. Whether it will actually happen or not in Tekken, what are we up to, 8, I think it is? Who knows? But just the fact that he's responding because of the amount of people that were like, adding him on Twitter, that just like blew my mind. It's power of the internet. I wanted to start off with a fun story because I know we go with the salty stuff quite a bit in our opening stories, which I think the next one's going to be a big one. But that one, the fact that if we could get like a Waffle House level, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on TikTok or Instagram and type in Waffle House fights, and that's all you really need right there alone. It's phenomenal. So,
Well, Waffle House has two nicknames. Like they could either put it in the game and call it Waho, or they can call it the Awful House.
yeah, that's true.
So he has no excuse.
This needs to happen though. Like,
I
I would
agree.
absolutely love to see Waffle House level in Tekken 8.
I might add, I would. You know what, Harada? I have never bought a Tekken game. You put Waffle House in Tekken, I'll buy a Tekken game. I won't even play it. I don't like Tekken, but I will buy it and
I
all
will come back to
DLC.
it.
You'll come back
The
to
last
it.
one I played seriously was probably Tekken Tag Tournament, which that was, oh geez, I think that was a launch title for PS2 or something. But after that, like I will play them occasionally, but up to a point, I was actually playing those quite a bit and went into like a couple of the local tournaments. But yeah, kind of dropped off after that.
The only Tekken game I've ever played wasn't the Tekken game. It was Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So
That bombed, but
it
yeah, I
did.
remember when that came out.
It was sad. It was. I liked it, but yeah, nobody else did.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is just Shadow of Erdtree trailer for Elden Ring, which I'm excited about. June launches on June 21st. I will absolutely be streaming it here on the channel.
I will be watching, so I won't break a controller out of anger playing it myself.
I did play the entirety of Elden Ring, including Melania. It is not on the channel, unfortunately. That was during my Twitch days. So I don't believe my my Elden Ring playthrough is on the channel, but I could be wrong. I've moved a lot of stuff over here and didn't realize it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so just a heads up on that. If somehow you didn't know when you like Elden Ring, Dark Souls stuff, that's coming, and it's going to be great. And you should watch the trailer. You'll find a link in the description below for the IGN page for it. But yeah, big hype, big hype.
I still need to finish Elden Ring in general. Like I started it up and got a good way through it, but I can't even remember where I stopped. It was like one of the bosses just kept like creaming me, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I had to go and play something else. I wouldn't break something. I was getting very upset with it. So
yeah, I played the shit out of it. I loved it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Screw it, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened with Cybertrucks?
So at one point in time, my understanding, I don't own a Cybertruck, is you could install Steam to the OS of your Cybertruck, and I don't think it was an official thing, but I guess word got back to Tesla, and they shut that ability down. So people who own Cybertrucks that were trying to play their PC games, hopefully not driving. I'm assuming it's parked, but whatever. Who knows? They own a Cybertruck. They're probably not in that mindset anyway. I won't go there. But yeah, so they're very upset because Steam got taken away from their Cybertrucks.
I see. That was probably like the one selling point. Kind of like I bought a PS5 for Final Fantasy.
Oh god.
Like, and I know you disagree, but of course, I talk shit on Elon Musk all the time on my streams and stuff. It's not unknown where I sit on political and other matters. But I will say that I actually love the design of the Cybertrucks. I love angular things, and that just looks like it was ripped out of an Atari. I love it so much.
After seeing it in person the first time, which was probably a couple weeks ago at this point, I don't know. Like I kind of get it because it's new, it's unique and stuff, but just with the amount of issues the owners of it that have been having, and the fact that you can't leave it out in rain for too long, it will start rusting. It's just like there's so many like very basic functional issues with this poor vehicle here. So, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's getting recalls and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, just not a fan personally. And then the corners are very sharp. Like I don't normally go around and touch other people's vehicles, but I couldn't help myself after seeing videos where people were getting their fingers crushed in the doors and stuff. But I actually like touched the corner of one of them, and it's about as sharp as the corner of this table behind me. I was like, they should have really done a better job with that. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. There's not a lot of QA in there.
I love that though. I don't want to cut myself in my car, but
yeah,
I do like I said, I like the shape and stuff.
There's videos on Instagram and TikTok of people like using their Cybertruck doors and the trunk lid to like cut their fruit and stuff. It's like literally that sharp.
No way.
This is wild.
That is wild. Holy crap. Oh man. Let's see here.
Should we jump to the Microsoft story?
You want to jump to the Microsoft story?
Let's go ahead and knock it out. I call it a story, but I do want to stress that this is an extreme rumor right now. But Guru3D.com, which they've been around for a minute now. I followed them for quite some time. They published a story a couple days ago. We're recording on the 26th at the moment. So this was, I guess it was the day we were originally going to record, but we had to push back. But anyway, long story short, Microsoft is readying a bid to acquire Valve/Steam. So the early reports is it's going to be around $16 billion. So once again, very rumor-ish, territory with that, but we thought it'd be worthy of mentioning. I don't know if anything will come from it. I don't know if the sources are credible or not, but just the fact that that's, making its rounds. I've seen it a few different places now. That just happened to be the first one that, I saw a report on it, so I wanted to give them credit. Yeah, that's wild. Like, I can't fathom what that would do to the future of PC gaming in general. I get why they would want to do that, because, the PC sales for Microsoft Studios, they're definitely weak in comparison, and they want that strong like online store atmosphere, and what better way to do that than go and acquire like the biggest online PC gaming store that exists like ever. So I don't know if you want to add to that, but yeah, that blew my mind when I read that.
I do want to add two things to it. The first is that just looking at the story, it looks like the owner of Steam or whatever. And again, I don't know a lot about CEOs, shareholder stuff. Yeah, he only owns 25. He owns less than 25% of the company, which means a bunch of people would have to agree to it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying they wouldn't. 16 billion is a lot of money, but
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But that actually segues into another story that I wanted to talk about, where IGN Entertainment acquires Eurogamer, GI, VG247, Rock Paper Shotgun, and other companies.
I don't know how I feel about that either, but I'll let you jump in. Like, I have like a very timid, trepid past with IGN personally, because being in the video game like news media in the early 2000s, I stepped out of it partially because of IGN and some of the shenanigans they were doing then, but I'll let you take it from there.
Well, the reason this story is big and hilarious is, number one, this reporting is done by IGN. So this came from their website. And if you look at the past, I don't know, let's say 3 to 6 months of IGN coverage, you will find countless stories of them crapping on Microsoft and other companies for buying out other companies and saying how bad it is for the industry.
Yep.
So, yeah, a little bit of hypocrisy going on there, IGN. What you doing?
Yep.
It's
they went through a series of acquiring like smaller like news websites too back in the early 2000s. Hence part of my angst against them, because I was a part of one that got consumed, and they basically just bought it, told everyone to go have a nice day, and just redirected the URL to IGN.com. So, they did that. We're not talking like just a couple websites. They did that like hundreds of different websites. So it was pretty crappy.
You would think that they would be like embarrassed or a little hush hush about it. At least let somebody else report on it. But no, this is on their website. They posted this unironically without freaking one. I mean, let's just you could look at the top comments here. I wonder how many stories we will get about job losses when they start firing staff from those companies. I bet they have a real different tone than the ones we read on here about Microsoft laying employees off.
And it will happen.
Another comment says they've already started laying people off. No news of it here, but that should come as no surprise, sadly. And there's no there's no like source for that. I can only read the comment there.
Yeah.
Another guy's complaining that they were independent, but now IGN owns them. What happened to all the articles telling us how industry consolidation is terrible? I guess it's not the right. It's just non-stop, just people on that article hammering them.
Yeah, as it should be. So good for the people speaking up about it.
Oh, here's like an important thing though, and I don't know how much of this is true. We're not journalist news. We're just kind of basically consolidating news for you guys and reporting on it as we see. But Broccoli Boy, a very trustworthy source. Guys, IGN did not make this decision themselves. They are owned by a private equity first named Ziff Davis. Ziff Davis also holds many other brands like Humble Bundle and PC Mag, as well as Lifehacker. Simply look it up on Google. and then it goes into detail. They are companies consisting of a small number of employees. These employees or investment professionals will raise money from various. Oh, they're trust fund babies. It's an entire company of trust fund babies.
Oh, okay. I mostly am just familiar with Ziff Davis because that was the start of ZDTV back in the late 90s, which I absolutely loved that channel. I don't know how widespread it was. Like, it didn't predominantly take off till probably when they went through the merger/acquisition with G4, which Comcast at the time owned that, which I think they still technically own the rights to. I know G4's come back on a few different occasions now and died again. But I absolutely adored ZDTV back in the day. I remember, even to this day, the first time we were able to get that channel all the way back in like 1998, like our local, we had Adelphia back then. That's really dating me.
Oh my god, you just said those words.
Yeah,
Adelphia.
Adelphia was our main provider at the time. They bought out the small like provider that was around before in the area where Lofter and I live. But yeah, so they offered it early to mid 1998, and I was hooked immediately because pretty much anything dealing with like electronics, computing, video games, etc. I was always into since I was a lot younger than that even, and of course that was in my wheelhouse. You know, just all the cool shows that they had on the channel there. So, and then of course they go through the merger/acquisition with G4, and G4 pretty much killed off everything minus like 2 shows at the time, like Screensavers, which ended up like renaming to Attack of the Show, and shoot, what was the other one that had Adam Sessler on it? I just got a brain for it, but there was like a video game review show. They kept that, and like everything else, they just kind of axed, like not immediately, but it was pretty fast. But
I was actually thinking about that, man. I mean, Adam Sessler had nothing to do with any of that, obviously, but I miss Adam Sessler and Tall Redhead Lady.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember her name because
oh my god, I gotta look it up now.
I feel like Adam Sessler said his name all the time, but she didn't say hers as much.
X-Play was the show.
X-Play, yes. So what was her name?
Morgan Webb.
Morgan Webb! I remember that name now. Hell yeah.
I think pretty much everyone had a crush on her back in the day.
I'm Morgan Webb. Oh, man. Who didn't have a crush on freaking tall redheaded lady talking about video games? Come on.
Death by Snoo Snoo. No, I was more of a Jessica Chobot guy myself back in the day. Like, she didn't start on X-Play directly. She might have actually came over through G4, if I remember. But yeah, I still follow her on Instagram to this day. So.
Well, now our like big woman representation is. I mean, there's a bunch of them. Because of Critical Role, there's several now. There's Ashley and the rest of them that I can't remember their names. But there's also Felicia Day, who is also kind of affiliated with that Critical Role. So,
oh yeah,
we do have some some women's gamers that have good representation, you know, in the media. There's also, I talked about her a few times on here, Charla Nazard.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah. Let's see. Another major gaming event has been confirmed for June 7th from Game Rant. This is actually a really cool one. So this is Devolver Digital has announced that they have a direct coming up, which they're going to talk about some of their games and stuff.
Okay.
If you don't know Devolver Digital or haven't played any of their games, they basically just every 3 or 4 years they put out a viral game. Which, side note, go watch my show that I made called Viral Retrospective about viral games. It's really good, and I worked really hard on it. I spent like 20 to 30 hours on it total, like real hours. So go watch that. But anyways, Devolver Digital makes viral games. They make and I'm not talking about like they make games like to go viral. They make games that are so goddamn good and innovative, they go viral by themselves. There's Human Fall Flat. There's the Talos Principle. They made Inscription. They made Human Fall Flat. Like, they make these really good games that just hit YouTube for like 3 to 6 months, and everyone's playing it and loving it and buying it. And then they go away, and they come back like 3 or 4 years later with another banger. So,
do you remember the first breakout game for them?
No.
That would be Serious Sam. They did the updated like HD version. That's when kind of brought them to the game, and then eventually they started making their own stuff and, you know, working with smaller independent studios, and that's where Hotline Miami came into place.
Yeah,
they're a big fan of Hotline Miami.
They did Hotline Miami too?
They teamed
Or
up with a
as
smaller
well?
independent studio and helped pushed it. Yes, so there's a lot of like crossover there.
That's so cool. Yeah, so like seriously, it's on June 7th, so I don't know, 2 weeks from now, give or take.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a big one to watch. I'll try to remember to watch it and do a reaction video on it as well because like Devolver's amazing and whatever they put out is so good all the time.
Yeah, I just revisited Broforce recently. That was another one that they partook in, and that one's a lot of
They
fun
did
too.
Pro for yeah. See, they just make like quality ass games.
And then because some of these, it's most of them teaming up with like other developers and stuff. Obviously,
Yeah,
so
because they're
like Shadow
indie. They're
Warrior.
they're considered indie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Then Enter the Gungeon was another one that comes to mind that I dabbled with that they were part of.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play it, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but the Hateful Boyfriend. That's the one about the pigeon.
Hattiful boyfriend, where you're dating
Hateful-
pigeons.
Sorry, I knew I got it wrong.
Yeah, where you're dating pigeons. That was another like really viral game.
So that one I thought was hilarious. That was mostly me just watching other people play that one.
Yeah,
But
there's a bunch of
that
let's
was good
plays on
times.
that. Growing up, I
Metal Wolf
watched.
Chaos as well. Absolutely love Metal Wolf Chaos. That one technically came from Software, but they were also part of it too. Like just helped publishing it. So
Yeah, they're a great company. I can't wait to see what they're putting out next. Honestly.
yeah.
The next one is kind of for you, even though I put it up.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of these are Game Rant because Game Rant does a really good job of consolidating news. Honestly,
Yeah.
there's a leaker, the leaker, which I need to pull up the article to see their name, but they have basically debunked for the moment, at least, that there's a Final Fantasy X remake in the works. But they have all but confirmed that there's a Final Fantasy IX remake in the works.
Hallelujah,
Mhm.
hallelujah. I am definitely keeping an eye on this one closely. Major fan of Final Fantasy IX. Like that came out in a pivotal point in my life. I'm just trying to look up the actual date it came out, but that
You
came
don't
out
want to do that. Don't do that.
It's been a minute, I know.
The leaker is Midori, by the way.
Yeah, so July 7th, 2000. So that
Oh, it's
was
worse
like
than I
shortly
thought.
after graduating from high school for me, and still trying to figure out a lot of life stuff that's going on. And yeah, just huge fan of Final Fantasy IX. Like it's kind of interesting because I know that one gets pushed aside in the grander conversations about what is the best Final Fantasy out there. But just that one, it just hits home. Like I played it many times, looking forward to playing it again once it's been properly remastered. So it sounds like that's what we're finally getting. So very happy about this one.
As long as they don't turn into an action game. Like,
yeah,
7 works as an action game the way they're doing it, but I don't want to see Final Fantasy IX be an action game.
Vivi. They miss up Vivi, there will be death.
So, but yeah, that's super cool. And I'm a big Final Fantasy fan in general, so I'm looking forward to playing Final Fantasy IX in a new light because I've played it two or three times. So
yeah.
Another one for you, MultiVersus shows off Jason Voorhees gameplay.
For me to poop on. Yes, that one I'm excited for too, for obvious reasons. I'm a major horror fan. Everything with Friday 13th is so weird right now because no one really knows who fully owns the rights to that series. I'll kind of leave that for folks that are into the horror stuff. You probably already know about it if you're into horror stuff, but that's why we haven't had any Friday 13th movie in a long time because that's still been in the courts for many years. Trying to sort out the details behind that. So the fact that anything Jason Voorhees is coming out in general is pretty cool, but having it go to the MultiVersus game, that's pretty sweet.
Have you seen the screenshots on that link?
Oh yeah,
buff ass Jason Voorhees guarding the Joker. Like, what is even? And Rick, like, I see Rick over here on the right facing off. I don't know who's on the left.
Yeah,
but yeah, freaking Rick from Rick and Morty over here. Like, I'm gonna do something about this, Morty. Just hang on, Morty. I can handle the Joker. Somebody's got to deal with Jason Voorhees. I can't deal with Jason Voorhees, but I got the Joker.
Just please don't shoot him up in space again. That's the only thing I ask.
That's a terrible idea. I want to see Jason Voorhees versus the Xenomorph.
That'll be good. I'm game.
All right, moving on from there. Paper Mario: The 1000-Year Door Code may hint at a Nintendo Switch 2 capabilities. So this is another Game Rant article. People data mined, Paper Mario as they do. It's been out for 3 days, and there's some code in there that that's kind of like. I'll just read you the sentence, and you can understand why this is the rumor.
Right.
In a recent post, Twitter user Ribshark revealed that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake seems to contain code for handling 4K, and the Switch can't do 4K. So the idea is that that they're going to do a port of Paper Mario that they've already got ready for the Switch 2, and the Switch 2 is capable of 4K, which is huge if true, because from what I've read, the Switch 2 would be at least as powerful as the PS3, which was not impressive. But now it sounds like it's going to be PS4, PS5 levels, but also still be a Switch.
Yeah, that's oh god. Yeah, these rumors, I'd at least for like the hardware, unless it's Pixel, much as I love Google Pixel, that's what I rock as my main phone. Like it's hard to really trust like the leakers and stuff like that, but I think it's obvious, like it has to be at least capable of 4K.
Yeah.
This also kind of backs up, another thing we were talking about. I don't think it was in last week's, but the week before, where we were discussing how the next version of Switch, whatever they're going to call it, they're trying to push for backwards compatibility with the Switch.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of follows suit. Here's the new game that came out 3 days ago, roughly. We're finding these bits of code that is mentioning 4K capability that just strongly leads to what I believe that, I think we're not only going to hear more about the Switch 2 here sooner than later, but backwards compatibility may be part of the conversation, like right out of the gate, which is awesome.
Well, and the thing is too is like it may just be because I'm old at this point, and I've been playing games since the NES, so I'm used to like just the worst graphics. Which I mean they were great at the time, but of course now if you look at Super Mario Brothers 1 versus Super Mario Brothers Wonder, there's a substantial difference. But my eyes can't tell the difference between a lot of things. Like I can kind of tell 60 frames per second, and that's mostly due to my fighting game experience.
Yeah.
But 4K, I mean I have a 4K monitor. I play games in 4K on my PS5, and I don't know that I would super notice the difference between that and another monitor, so I don't think you can really go much further past that for the human eye. So it's like, if the Switch 2 can do 4K, there never needs to be another Switch. We're going to have like 2 more decades of whatever this console is. There will not be I mean, of course, didn't the Switch come out before the PS3?
That's a good question.
Let me Google it real quick.
Yeah.
When did the Switch release? So the Switch came out March 3rd, 2017. PS3 release date. Remember that because I've already forgotten it. November 11th, 2006. Okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, you're way off.
Well, what about the PS4 then? Maybe that's what it was.
That's closer in line.
Yeah, so the November 15th, 2013, March 3rd, 2017. Okay, so wow. I thought it was actually much closer together than that, but no. PS4 had a longer life cycle than I thought. What was it, 7 years?
Yeah, PS4 was definitely around for a minute. I mean, it's still arguably powerful enough to do a lot of the modern stuff. I know everyone's like, oh, PS5, but I don't know if they've ever really fully tapped out its capability. And like the big things that they were running into wasn't really with the processing power. It was with other items like wanting to upgrade Wi-Fi, or the folks that like to use like Ethernet, like having like the faster Ethernet capabilities that exist, or also the USB, because we're up to like USB 3.1 now. So it was using like older versions of that. So just those items were out of date, but the actual raw processing power of the PS4, I still think like a lot of the new stuff coming out today, if developers were given enough time, they could make it work on a PS4, no problem.
Oh yeah.
No question about it, I think.
Well, that actually brings me to something else I wanted to mention, just looking at it. So the PS1 was released on
I'm trying to remember. It was September though.
Okay.
September 9th, 1995?
That sounds good. I closed the window. I was looking. No, it was 94. I remember now. It was 94.
Okay.
It was 94, and the reason it was not, the reason that I remember that is because the PS2 came out in 2000, the PS3 came out in 2006, and then the PS4 came out 2013.
No, I was right.
What? The PS1?
The PS1 was released September 9th, 1995, according to a Google search.
That's crazy because my Google search is December 3rd, 1994.
That's the Japanese release.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the point is though that we'll say 5 to 7 years, PlayStation Sony puts out a new console, which means we are well over halfway through the PS5's life cycle if they hold.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's why
Unnecessarily.
there's talks of the pro version of the PS5 already.
Yep. So that's interesting. I hope nothing comes of it, but I don't want another PlayStation yet. Nobody even owns a PS5 yet. We had a story last week about how Final Fantasy 16 isn't meeting sales goals because nobody owns a PS5 except for me. He doesn't even own a PS5.
It took forever for I know, right? It took forever for people to even find them. Like, I feel like we need to do a whole podcast talking about gaming during COVID. I think that would be a fun story.
You mean Among Us?
Just like the whole like raffle that you would have to do to be able to get graphics, your graphics cards. And my first PlayStation 5 I was able to land because I've had a couple now and just resold them because I got bored of them. And that was through a raffle that I did through Walmart's website. And the fact that we were having to do that just blows my mind still to this day. And fighting people that were programming bots that were, going and like scooping everything up. And it was just so frustrating. Like, I think that's an interesting story that I don't want it lost to time. And I hope people, talk about it enough that, 10, 15 years from now. I mean, we're already 4 years removed from 2020, which is insane to even say out loud. But I think that'd be a fun conversation to have one day.
So, I don't know if you know the entirety of the story, but you bought me my first PS5 and I paid you back for it immediately because you just happened across one. It was a digital only.
For one of the bots, yep.
Yep.
I programmed one of the bots and I was able to get you one. That's how I got my brother-in-law's as well.
So, when you called me about that, there's a store here in this town that's been there forever. It's across from where the Schlossky's used to be. It's like a framing store.
Yes.
Me and my now wife were actually in there looking at a $500 painting that I wanted to buy. And you called me and was like, "You want PS5?" And I said, "No painting, yes please."
That's awesome.
So yeah,
that's a place that they have the permanent 40% off sign up, right?
Yeah. It's yeah. I was actually in there. Actually, no. What had happened? So we were in there, and I was looking at this painting. It's like, God, I want this painting because we were renovating this apartment area. And we were going to, I wanted some artwork to hang on it, and I loved this painting. It was like this dark, like it was a dark angel, and she had like a sword, and like she was wearing like half plate, and it was beautiful. And we had actually gone to eat lunch to let me think about whether or not I really wanted to buy it. Yeah. So we were over at the cellar and eating, and that's when you called me about it, and I was like, okay, well, no painting.
Shout out to the cellar.
Shout out to the cellar. They make very mediocre steak sandwiches.
Oh, never mind. Don't shut up.
So the next
shout out to Jefferson's.
Jefferson's.
They have good wings.
And they'll also put your wings on top of a bowl of macaroni and cheese.
Oh my God, I'll have to ask her that next time.
So good.
They have excellent sweet potato fries too.
Yep, and fried pickles. Yeah, Jefferson's is pretty baller. I think we're pretty much doxing ourselves at this point. So the next one isn't a story; it's just a game release. The Wizardry game got a full remake. And okay. It's beautiful, and the reason this is cool is because I don't like this particular style of games. But the Wizardry series was as far as I'm aware, like the first person turn-based RPG dungeon crawler type game.
That's correct, yes.
And it spawned it's not just like Wizardry. It spawned like the Persona Q games, Persona Q2, Etrian Odyssey, all these weird adult games like Dungeon Travelers and Mary Skelter. There's an obscene amount of porn games that exist because of Wizardry, but also other good. and I'm saying other good games. I mean, honestly, I've played Dungeon Travelers and I've played Mary Skelter. They get skimpy clothes, but they're not like full on nude usually.
Right.
Um, they're actually really competent. I don't like them. I usually play about 30% of one, and I'm just like, I'm bored. But if you like that genre of game, you should buy the Wizardry Remake.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah, that sounds fun. Like I was unaware this was a thing. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. A side note to that, not the original Wizardry, but some of the later on versions, because I think they made like 8 in the main line before they kind of tread off there after a while. Because the very first one was made in 1981, and if I remember correctly, I think the last one came out like 2001. I'll have to double check that in a second. But
I mean,
yeah,
this could be a resurrection.
yeah, it's like a huge time span alone, let alone a resurgence of the original. But yeah, so Brenda Romero, I got to meet her at an E3 like ages ago, and it was around one of the I forget what she was working on at the time, but the only thing I wanted to talk with her about was Wizardry, because I know she had worked on a couple of those back in the day. And so Brenda Romero, she went on to marry John Romero, who was one of the co-creators of Doom. So that was a lot of fun being able to have conversations with her, and then he ended up showing up and having conversations with him about Doom at the same time. It's like my childhood, just at that point when all that went down. So that was, I think, about 2001. I only been to E3 on a couple of occasions, and yeah, so that was by far my favorite memory, is getting to chat with her about Wizardry, and then Romero with Doom, which he's still very active. He's not part of id anymore, but he's still active in the video game space, making independent games right now. So good times. I love Wizardry, so happy to see this.
Speaking of just random shout out for me to do, speaking of old school, getting to interview gaming legends, my friend Fortifier, that's at Fortifier on YouTube, got to interview Ken Williams, which is a legend over at Sierra and a couple of other companies. He got to do a 2-part interview with him. It's a solid hour and 10-minute, hour and 15-minute investment if you want to watch the whole thing. It's in 2 parts, but it honestly isn't getting enough love. It's got 577 on part 1 and 205 views on part 2, and they've been out for 2 months. You should go watch that. Not only just because everybody should go watch that. Not only because it's a good interview, but also because he's tiny, small. He's only got he's almost got 5,000 subscribers, which is significantly more than I do.
Yeah.
But if that kind of video gets a lot of traction, he could interview more gaming legends, and that would be super cool for him to be able to do. So
yeah,
go check out Fortifier Games.
Absolutely, because Ken Williams in general, I'm going off of memory here. He was big in King's Quest. That was another classic. We're just talking about Wizardry, but another classic PC series. And then that also turned into Space Quest as well. He worked on those. Dark Crystal video game, which I'm assuming is made off of the movie. I remember seeing that one. I didn't play that one.
That's a Zelda clone on the NES, right?
What's that? I'm sorry?
It's a Zelda clone on the NES.
I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure the Dark Crystal was a Zelda clone for the NES.
The one that he worked on was based on the movie. I just looked it up out of curiosity. And yeah, so that one is more traditionally falling in line with that. So I think that's separate, because this one only came to Apple and the Apple II system and the Atari and a couple of other things, but not NES for this one. So
all right, cool.
Anyway, I could talk about retro classic games.
We may have to set that up, because I wish I could get you set up to do something with him then, because you guys could go crazy with each other.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay, I'm gonna save the last story for. Well, there's a couple stories I want to save for last.
Sure.
The PlayStation exec says AI is important to Gen Z and Gen Alpha gamers who want personalization across everything, which I'm calling bullshit on, because Gen Z and Gen Alpha hate AI artwork and everything.
They're busy watching Skibbity Toilet.
Yep, they're doing that.
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't understand this mindset. Literally, the internet is full of people complaining that AI sucks and it's taking jobs, and this random PlayStation exec is like, no, but wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of that. Like AI definitely has its place, but have it like fully replace, very important things like artwork and stuff. Like, no, thank you.
Well,
Um,
and I want to
even
point out
for
real
what I do for
quick.
a living, like embedding AI into my daily life, like that's something I do, but it's not as a replacement. It's as an assistant. So that I'm totally fine with.
And I want to point out real quick, we're not idiots. We know AI has been around for a very long time. That's
Oh yeah,
literally how video games work. But
yeah,
we're talking about like plugging something into an algorithm and it's spitting out images and music and storylines and stuff in order to I'm gonna out myself here. I use AI. I use OpenAI Chat GPT to create video descriptions, tags, and hashtags for my videos because I don't understand those. I'm old. So I just let it scrub the internet, find tags related to the thing that I do, and then I put that on there because I make so much content plus a full-time job and a wife and everything else that I don't really have time to learn some aspects of it.
right.
Um, so I'm fully aware that AI exists and it has a place and it can be good. But it shouldn't replace. It shouldn't take people's jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And
So
I use it to keep from sending angry emails for work. I will type in the email that I want and say, "Make this sound nicer."
that is such a thing. Oh my god.
That's probably my number one use for ChatGPT.
Even then,
That's
though,
it.
like
I don't want to get fired. Make this sound nicer, please.
you can't really super trust it because there's a lot of meme articles going around right now. People asking Google AI, like, "Hey Google AI, can I leave my dog in the car?" And it's
Oh yeah,
like,
I don't
it,
go anywhere near that one. That one's
it's
Gemini. Like I want to get on board. I even went to a trade show that they had in Atlanta for generative AI that was hosted by Google. This was I want to say October of last year, if I remember correctly. Um, Whew, yeah, that one's rough. So it uses completely different architecture from ChatGPT and the others, but yeah. No, thank you.
yeah, pretty much. Um, so we've already done this story.
Yeah.
And delete that one off. So the last one, or the second to last one, is just the Street Fighter 6 update that
Okay.
happened. So we have been starving for content on Street Fighter 6. Like every couple of months we get a new character. We got Rashid, then we got Aki, then we got Ed, and then we got Akuma. But with the Akuma update, they actually finally rebalanced the game. Some stuff is insignificant or not insignificant. It's insignificant if you're not like a higher level player, such as removing, like changing Lily's standing light kick from a 4 frame, from 5 frames to 4 frames on counter hit, which allows
Mhm.
her to link into like her crouching medium kick and do a lot of other cool stuff. They added some new universal mechanics, like you can do wake up drive reversals now, which um, drive reversal was a pretty good ability already where if you were stuck in block stun you could press forward and then the drive impact button and it would actually knock the opponent off on you, but it was negative on block, meaning you could be punished if your opponent baited and blocked it. So they buffed that by moving it down to 4 frames, which means basically only long range light attacks can counter it, which means you don't get punished nearly as heavy or as heavily for it. And yeah, it also makes it you could do it on wake up now, which we also talked about the thing earlier. One of the reasons Lily was so bad was because, and it's the same thing for Zangief, it's the same for Manon, Dalzim, all these lower tier characters were lower tier because they didn't have wake up options. Like they basically just had to guess on a 50-50 on throw, strike or throw. So between the back throw nerfs, which pushes farther away now, the wake up drive reversal thing you can do now, and the fact that it's not like super negative on block and you get giga punished for doing it if it's blocked, it's just completely changed the entire. It's not even including like all the other stuff they did where they've added moves to people and changed how they worked, and they nerfed some things on some characters and buffed some things on some other characters. Like it's incredible. The game feels like, I mean, it feels like we're in Super Street Fighter 6 now. Like honestly, it's just the next game now.
That sounds significant.
Yeah, they did a lot of work on it. Just if you look through these patch notes, they are beefy, and some characters have like an entire page of things that got done for them. And the other cool thing is now we're officially in season 2, which means hopefully we'll get some character portraits and stuff for the next 4 or 5 characters they're going to do this season.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's I know that's not as big for you, but like for me it's a huge deal because I follow the fighting game community very closely. I play
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy Rising Versus, I play Street Fighter 6, I watch every major. I'm super hyped for Evo next month, like, so this is a big deal for me, and I'm definitely, especially with Lily winning an entire major today. I am so psyched to like get back into training, get back into labbing and actually learn how to play the game again.
Awesome. I love it.
And lastly, of course the usual Marvel Snap stuff.
Yeah, so I know you were upset with some of the balance updates that happened. So if you want to talk about Leech for a second.
So they why did they do that to Leech? So Leech originally was a 5/2 that removed it used to remove every effect from every card in your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
And they changed it to on reveal effects. But it was still a 5 cost for 2, which wasn't great. But and then they changed it to a 4/2, which still wasn't great, but I was using it to great effect in my negative man deck.
Yeah.
And now he's a 5/5, and it's like, cool, I can't use him in my negative man deck or in
He's all over the place.
yeah, it's like literally his only function is if you're, hoping or afraid of the Hella deck, which I know
Yeah.
you are. It's so funny because you were complaining about Hella every deck because you're ranked 74, 75 right now?
I
Or
did
level?
hit into the 80s, but because I hit so many Hella decks, like I don't have a good counter deck at the moment because the deck I was using to counter it, I dismantled it for a different purpose. So yeah, I dropped back into like the mid 70s again.
See, I very rarely. I mean, I have played against Hella decks. I got the last game that I played. I got stoned by one, and it was really angry because he got really lucky. He had 5 cards discarded. One of them was Hella. He played Ghost Rider, and it got Hella, and it won him the game. That pissed
And
me
so,
off.
yeah, the new trend that I'm noticing now with Hella is introducing the Living Tribunal card as well.
Yep.
So it's the goal is just to get out as many powerful cards as possible through any means necessary. So if you're discarding cards and then you have Tribunal in the mix, yeah, you're gonna spread that power across all 3 lands. And it's not that I don't think it's a good idea, to have a deck like that. It's just frustrating that almost every game I'm playing now is like that archetype.
Well,
So yeah, I just got to sit down and do a little research and figure out how I'm going to start countering that. Because used to it was just Cosmo, because it was back when Hella first came out. It was very easy to predict when she was going to be dropped and where she was going to be dropped, but it's not quite as easy now because of some of the new land types that we have. So
yeah.
it's really a crapshoot if you're going to try to use something like a Cosmo. You might get lucky because like you'll still have the folks that are doing older Hella decks that they just upgraded where they'll still have like Invisible Woman. So it's like, okay, that's a no-brainer. She's gonna hide something, behind that. So
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be Hella. Let me go and put Cosmo before that triggers.
Yeah. I was doing that, but with MODOK. I was playing MODOK turn 5, then
Yeah.
Hella turn 6.
Yeah.
I really like MODOK decks. I just wish they were better. But see, it's funny. I did mention, of course, that I just lost to a Hella deck, but Onslaught is all I see.
Yeah.
Every deck. I literally have to put Enchantress in every deck because of freaking Onslaught.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like, I do like his capability. I'm wondering which one, if I were to take a guess between Hella and Onslaught, it just seems like the developers love Hella so much. Like, they haven't done anything with her since day one that I'm aware of, anyway. I can't remember. I just feel like Onslaught would probably end up getting a nerf before Hella will at this point. So maybe you'll be okay, within the next month.
I hope so, because I'm so sick of seeing. I mean, even games when I hit their Wong with
That's what she said.
even in games when I hit their Wong with my Enchantress, it's like, also that's what she said. It still feels like, okay, well, they still play Onslaught and they still get to do like double White Tigers or God double, so the Mystique too. If they ever get Wong, Mystique, and Onslaught on the same thing, and then
Yeah.
they freaking drop something like Silver Surfer. Oh my God, I had this one match when, I kid you not, it took 6 minutes for it to resolve. Because like Silver Surfer just buffed everything constantly. And I think there's a way to fast forward the game when stuff like that's going on, but I don't know how to do it.
At least on the PC app. I haven't seen it much on the mobile app. So through Steam, if you're playing through Steam, it will fast forward for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that on the phone version or not. Now that I think about it, but anyway, it's funny talking about Wong. The most unsuspecting card that I've been using to counter Wong has been White Widow.
Yep.
I've just noticed a trend here lately. Like they'll play Wong as soon as they can, but they're not adding anything beyond that. Or maybe Wong's getting added as like maybe the third card.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten that far up into their deck yet, where they can play the bigger cards that they want to play, like the Tiger, like you were mentioning before.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do White Widow on the spot, and of course, it casts that negative card across to their land, and they can't play anything else there. So that's almost like an automatic, win for a land. Like I've had so many people just retreat like immediately as soon as I do that because I just screwed up their mojo
whole
there.
combo. Yeah,
it's so funny. But yeah, big shout out to White Widow on that. So because Wong used to be really really bad. That was like. I think I'm trying to remember. So Wong was probably the worst card to begin with. Like everyone was playing Wong, and then they moved on to Galactus, and then they moved on to Onslaught for a little bit, Hela. Then now it's back to Onslaught and Hela as we're talking about today. So
yeah,
it just bounces around. That's the beauty of a card game that's really good is like your archetypes change like consistently, so it keeps things interesting, but also the same at the same time.
We need to play more Snap with each other. Anyways, but yeah, I think that's about it for the show. Do you have anything you want to add, Jamie?
I think I'm good for today. I'm gonna go build a new Living Tribunal deck after accidentally casting it.
I think
pissed off a Hela player earlier. So
I think I might do the same. The Living Tribunal. I haven't gotten to play that kind of deck yet, where you just throw out the biggest cards imaginable. I get Shangli. Everybody runs Shangli or whatever his name is. I get it anytime I play anything over 10. They have it in their hand, ready to go. 1,000% of the time.
I haven't seen them quite as much these days, but yeah, that used to be the norm for sure. Like I will keep him in my She-Not deck for that reason. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, thanks guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, of course, likes, comments, subscriptions, all that good stuff helps out a bunch. If you enjoyed the podcast, let us know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.
Try not to die.
Try not to die.
Bye.